So we are recording now and ready to get started.
Thank you, Monty. Well, welcome everybody to the Jacobs Institute Changemaker Challenge. We've been a long time getting to this point, so we're so excited that you've signed up and that you're participating in the challenge. Can you go to the next slide, Monty? We'd like to, just an overview of what we're going to cover this afternoon. We've started some introductions already. We're going to talk about basically the problem that we're having in the space of innovation right now and why we're doing the Jacobs Changemaker Challenge on our end. Then we'd like to hear from you, why are you participating in this challenge? We're going to be talking about the solution and the challenge itself. Going into a little bit, we're going to go through the software, how does Packful actually work, and dig into the first phase. And if you do use design thinking already, you might be familiar with a 5-phase model, empathize, etc. Our first phase is called understand, and then we're going to have questions that come up. So just to give a quick introduction to who we are, the Jacobs Institute of Innovation and Education, we're in the School of Leadership and Education Sciences at the University of San Diego. We're a nonprofit institute, and our job, we're so lucky, our job is to support, empower K-20 innovation in partnership with schools. And so that plays out in a lot of ways for us here, through research, through evaluation, through challenges like this, and we're launching a new certificate program, which we're really excited about. I'm Lisa Dolly. I'm the executive director, and I'm one of the co-inventors of the software, Packful, that we'll be using. Monty, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Monty Kalish. I'm the one who sent all the emails and invites and constant notifications and stuff. I am the Director of Technology, Strategy, and Development here at the Jacobs Institute. I'm also a co-inventor of Packful with Lisa. And we'll get to the app in a little bit. My background is in technology. I was the former CTO of Connections Education, which is one of the large virtual school providers. I helped create the organization and was there for 15 years. They're now still supporting over 80,000 full-time students around the country. But again, my background is in technology and education and bringing those together. And I'm thrilled to be here with all of you today and the rest of this amazing team.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alina Mitchell. I am the Learning Experience Specialist here at the Jacobs Institute. A little bit about my background is I'm a former esteemed director and founder, a former K-12 principal, and also a current e-learning and instructional designer. And I'm just really excited to be a support to Packful, especially helping with teachers. Any questions that you may have, I would be a good resource for you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yarani. I'm the managing researcher and data scientist at the Jacobs Institute. I'm supporting the research and data aspects for this amazing platform.
Okay, great. Okay, I already talked about this. Basically, we power K-20 innovation through these 3 ways. We are funded through the generosity of Jonah and Roy Jacobs, and so I'll just give a nod to them. They are amazing benefactors who are really committed to supporting education, especially underserved kids. So we're very thankful to have their support. Next slide. I'd like to give you just a little bit of background about innovation across America. And so when we think about teaching kids to innovate or problem solve and create solutions, this is the Bloomberg Innovation Index from 2019. It's actually a map of the United States, if you can't tell, with each state. The good news is that California, using an innovation index that they've created, it's based on economic activity, number of patents issued. There are different variables that go into it. California is the #1 state in the country for innovation. There's a lot of activity that happens here. And if you look at some of the other lighter colored states around the country, you can see that in the Southeast, in the Southeast, we run into real issues with innovation, that access to innovation and the ability to innovate is not equally distributed. And so if you're a kid growing up in California versus Alabama, you just may not have the same opportunity. And so it's been a real driver for us is how do we increase access for teachers and kids to innovation processes and innovation culture. Even if you drill down on California itself, you'll see that in our state, from city to city and even region to region, innovation activity is not equal. A lot of the innovation in California, as you can imagine, comes out of San Jose, where we're doing, where a lot of the major technology companies are. Next slide, please. When we look at where kids grow up, where are kids born, right? And where do they grow up, and how many patents come out of those areas? We can see, again, issues around the Southeast. And then again, if you grow up in San Francisco, San Jose, Minneapolis, Madison, Detroit, those 5 major cities, those 5 cities represent the majority of patent activity in America. So when we think about, again, it kind of goes back to creating access and ensuring that, if you grow up in one of these high innovation cities, or you're male or you're white, your ability to innovate is 10 times more than people who don't have that same access. So as researchers and developers, we're really sensitive to what the research is saying, and then what can we do about it? Next slide. Oh, this is what I just talked about the top 1%. Need to hide that. Yeah. Your ability to become an inventor, this is now invention with patent rates, is also based on parental income. And this little dotted line that you see here is as you look across parent income from the poorest to the most wealthy, as wealth increases, so do patent rates in America. And so for kids that grow up in poverty, we have real issues. If you're working out in El Centro or other poverty areas around the country, you're not living in innovation culture, you don't get access to it, etc. Next slide, Monty. When we look by gender, innovators by gender, this goes back to inventions. This comes out of Bell and Chetty's work. They're economists based out of, they were at Harvard and Stanford. I think now they're both at Stanford, but 82% of males versus 18% of females. So we're also trying to create equal access by gender and support more women innovators. Next slide. And when we break down by race, if you're white, you're 3 times more likely to become an innovator than if you're Black, for example. And so again, it's just creating some, trying to erase some of the disparity we see by gender, socioeconomic class, and geographic location. Next slide, Monty. And so Bell and Chetty call these kids who don't have access the lost Einsteins. Like these kids could be Albert Einstein, but they're just not growing up with the exposure to innovation processes. And so it's estimated that there's literally millions of lost Einsteins around the country just due to this inequality to innovation culture. Next slide. And so our solution was to go out and not only build an app, because apps are just technology and tools that help us get things done, but embedded in the app is a curriculum and now this competition to recapture those lost Einsteins with really a goal. And Bell and Chetty said, hey, if we can recapture these lost Einsteins, we can actually quadruple the rate of innovation in America. So it has economic implications as well. And this is part of really just part of our goals. And so at this time, what if I could just ask you to type in chat, this is our goal. When you entered in this competition, could you share kind of your thinking around what your goal was as an educator? Because we realize this probably isn't your goal. And if your goal was just to give your kids an exciting opportunity to be part of something larger than themselves, that's an amazing goal too. The world's largest lesson.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the part of the UN 2030.
Mm-hmm.
So Valerie, the SDGs are super important for you. Maria, showing the value in thinking collaboratively, making a difference. Sasha, promote game changers, future leaders. Nice. Yeah, and authentic learning, like really actually making change while they're still in school, which we definitely support and believe. We believe teens can change the world. Stephen, you have a 4-year required design thinking program and you want to provide access to our scholars to these ideas and concepts. Teaching empathy, tools to follow their interests, work as a team, right? Teaching team building skills, which will definitely happen, and collaborate with other teams. Awesome. Okay, so next slide.
There's also Sasha with more students of color and female students
Absolutely.
as well.
Yep.
And as Lisa mentioned, I mean, that is also sort of the part of the mission and the DNA of the work that we do as well, which is the larger objective is to really improve and improve the rates of innovation amongst those underserved populations. And so this is a proxy for that for us and a way to get started. In all cases, we're not quite there yet, but we're hoping to move in that direction.
Well, and I think I should say at this point that the Jacobs Institute specifically, our mission is inclusive innovation. It's an innovation for everybody. And the university itself has a mission of social justice and equity. And so you'll see that play out through all of the work that we do. Next, Monty.
And remember, as we go throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to type it into chat and we will do our best to address them for you. Well, that leads into our Jacobs Institute Changemaker Challenge, and we are excited that all of you have joined this competition. It's a great way for students to learn how they can make a positive impact in the world by creating unique solutions to global problems. Within the challenge, students will create solutions aligned with the 17 global goals, also known as the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. These goals were created by world leaders that address social and physical problems, environmental problems, and more. They include problems at the micro and also the macro level. By addressing these goals, students can engage within their communities to make a difference. And so student teams will choose one global goal to focus to create and develop their solutions. Within this competition, it is important to note that everyone wins because we are making steps towards a better world that we live in. And so that's the big bonus. However, as a part of the challenge, there will be first and second place winning teams. Second through fifth place teams will receive a $250 gift card, and the teacher, yay, will also receive a $250 gift card. First place winners will receive a $500 gift card for the team, and also the teacher, again, yay, will receive a $500 gift card. Today, we have a surprise for you. We are excited to announce that we will be giving away Storyteller Awards, which will be $25 prizes for social media sharing of projects in progress. So posts that would include photos or videos using the hashtag #JIChangemakers can be used on all of our social media platforms, which includes Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And so they can post on all three or choose one, but we will be checking them regularly and awarding prizes to the teams.
And should we mention that that those are, it's not like every post is $25, but that we'll be randomly selecting and then awarding up to, how much total on those, Monty? Did we say $500?
I think we said 500.
Yeah.
So, but our intention here is really to kind of build some buzz, see the work that's happening along the way for both ourselves and for you and for each other, and to sort of create a forum that really gives them an ability to showcase their work along the way, not just at the end.
Yes.
Valerie asked, can we post for students?
Yes, the teachers can post for their students, absolutely.
And in fact, one of the mechanics that we will work out is that we'll be working with you as an educator to send any of the prizes. We won't be sending them directly to the students themselves. So that's something that we will follow up with you on. If we do select a student to win, then we've got to work out those mechanics with you.
And I would encourage for teachers too, feel free to, if you have that ability to take pictures of class activity, like you're just sharing for yourself as a teacher and your experience working with your class, that's fine too. It's really just about the excitement of the project and the progress on the project.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at our JI Changemaker Challenge timeline. We are officially launching the competition today. We will follow up with webinars to serve as touch points with you to go over phases, check your progress, and answer any questions that you may have along the way. And of course, you can always email us if, even, before or after the webinars as well. An important date for you to remember is May 1st, when the video pitches are due, and then May 16th, when the winners will be announced.
Sasha, I just want to come back. I saw your comment in chat. I think that's amazing. That's exactly the hope that we have too, is really to, if there's a way in particular that we can hone in on those teams or those student groups who actually represent those populations that we consider, that Lisa spoke about, that are underserved, that's exactly the hope that we have here, is to really bring that innovation culture to those students in particular. It's great for all students, but for those students in particular, that's really one of our underlying long-term objectives.
Okay, next slide. Now let's talk briefly about how Packful works. Student teams work through a process called design thinking to create a solution to their problem. Design thinking is a nonlinear iterative process which seeks to understand users, challenge assumptions, redefine problems, and create innovative solutions to prototype and test. Within Packful, student teams will follow 3 phases: understand, ideate, and prototype. Now, it is important for us to share with you that there are more than these 3 phases to the design thinking process. However, within Packful, we hone in on these 3.
Well, I will also just comment, we specifically chose this route, particularly Stanford, the design school where they came up with the original design thinking. They had a 5-step process. After looking at this and thinking about our target audience, specifically with teenagers, we tried to simplify a little. So you'll find all of the components of each of the phases encompassed in these, but they're just combined. So for example, understand is just our phrase for empathize. Ideate is but prototype, test, when we finally get to like prototype and test, they're all baked in. We just simplified the model.
It's also important to note that students do not have to complete the phases in a linear order. For example, a team may start with the prototype phase first and then go to the understand phase. Then they may feel like, oh, we have to go back and revisit the understand phase and then go to ideate. Students are more likely to be engaged when they have choices and autonomy in the process. Now, once all of the phases have been completed, student teams will create a video pitch to tell the story of their innovative solution. Within the unique solutions, with the unique solutions being created by the students, we are building a showcase of social good solutions aligned to the 17 global goals. We have the capacity within Packful to data mine and analyze how students tackle social good innovation and how far they get in their progress. So this feature allows other teams, and Monty will show it to you later in the demo. It shows the names of the teams, their project titles, and we encourage teachers that you allow your students to come up with their own, names of their teams and names of their projects. It's because it's fun and gives them, again, that sense of autonomy. The global goals that they have selected, and overall team progress. Teams who have made the most progress will be featured at the top of the screen. So it's important to note for you that individual student work will not be visible to other teams, just the items that was mentioned. Some of the benefits of Packful is that it again supports nonlinear learning because innovation doesn't always occur in a neat linear pattern, as we know. Packful's design mirrors innovation in the workplace and avoids constraints such as linear learning and grades. Another benefit of the software is that teamwork is encouraged because it helps students to engage socially with their peers. Student teams are given autonomy in choosing their global goal, their project titles, their group names, the order that they will progress through the design thinking phases, and then of course by creating their own innovative solutions. And lastly, Packful also encourages and supports teacher feedback loops in which teachers are able to provide continuous feedback and follow-up to students as they matriculate through the design thinking phases. So now we are going to do a software demo to guide you with the program. But I see there's a question here.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the question was, can students select more than one goal if they overlap? So this is a good segue for me to mention to everyone. This is a piece of software and a curriculum package that we built last year and then started with a closed beta test in this past fall. And we have some folks, including Stephen and others, who have actually already been impactful in making some progress, who are also now entered into this challenge, and then some new folks joining us today. The important part about that for us is that the software package and the curriculum is a work in progress. There are some things that we are trying to get feedback on and get your take on how it's working for people, how it's working in your classrooms, and how it works for students. So throughout the process, we will certainly appreciate your feedback, your suggestions, your comments. That includes everything from how it works to what the content or curriculum says or any of those kinds of things. To directly answer your question then, Nandita, the platform currently only supports each project being aligned to one global goal, but we have certainly had discussions and talk about what that might look like in the future because, as I think we all know, many of the pieces of work that students can do for the 17 global goals can easily overlap into multiple goals. And part of the challenge that the opportunity you have as an educator is to maybe help students pick the one that they think feels the most right for their project. But in the future, that could change. So Miles said he was stuck in traffic. At the bottom of the slideshow that we're showing right now, and I will be sending out information after the meeting today, but there is a bit.ly link that includes the slide deck thus far, so you're welcome to follow along with us. Although we're about to switch into an active demo that won't be the slide deck. So.
And we're also recording, Miles, so you'll get the whole recording if you want to watch it later.
So feel free to keep any questions you have coming along. That will be great, and we'll answer them as we go. So what I wanted to do, and I don't want to spend too long doing this, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have, or if anything needs further clarification, we're happy to do that either today or in the future, and we do have contact information we'll make available to you. But I wanted to kind of walk through how the platform works, at least at a high level, and talk about the first phase for the design thinking that you may encounter with your students, which we call the understand phase. So the first thing is, if you go to packful.org, you can click on the sign in. And for those of you who have already signed in, that's great. You can click existing user sign in or just click the sign in. But for the first time for your students, and for those of you, some of you have already done this, they will be given a class code. This class code will be unique to your class, and you'll be given it to your students. They'll enter that code, and that is how they authenticate into the platform and then get associated with your class. So I'm going to use a class code today just for this demo purposes. That's not the one you should use. You'll be sent an individualized email today that has your specific Packful class code that you can then share with your students. But this is what will happen when, this is the wrong one. This is what will happen when students go to log in the first time, they'll use your class code. Like I said, in this case, I'm using one that is for us. They have to agree to the boxes and certify that they're 13 years or older. This is important simply for regulatory reasons, for COPA compliance. They need to be 13 or over in order to use the platform and agree to that. And that is also part of the terms of use for educators and teachers as well. They sign in with their Google account. We'll encourage you to use, your students will need to use their school provided accounts if they have them. That's the best case scenario, but any Google account will work. And so once they log in, the first time they'll be dropped directly into your class. They'll have your class's name here, and they'll have an opportunity to, at this point, they have 2 tabs. They have My Projects and Class Projects. There are no projects. This is the first time I've logged in. So students are encouraged to explore the innovator's mindset and click Learn More. This will take students to the Innovator's Guide, which is also always available in the top header. The Innovator's Guide has a couple of areas. This is just a resource for students and for you, and I would suggest that you have students and yourselves, if you haven't, start here. There's a little video that gives an introduction to Packful. These little animations are all related to Packful. We have one for each of the phases that Alina spoke about. And they talk and he introduce the area and give you a brief overview and kind of set the stage for what students are about to uncover. They're about a minute, minute and a half, so they're not super long. But they can go through the learning content where we introduce what the global goals are, what social good innovation means. In a couple cases, we have some other videos that are short that they can watch, but really an introduction to the global goals and to design thinking. And I'm going to pause here to kind of show you. You'll see this iconography and imagery represented throughout the application. This is the place where, not here because it's an image, but in other places students can click on these. But this is the 3 phases of design thinking that we spoke about, and then the pitch phase. So this is an arrow sort of help reinforce the fact that this is a non-linear approach. You're welcome to do it in any order, and the software and the platform supports that. In each one of the phases above, understand, ideate, prototype, there are always 3 steps. So the 3 steps are explore, do, and doc. Explore is really sort of the learning content, similar to this page that you're seeing right now. Be usually a video to get started, some other learning information about what the phase represents, and then kind of giving them an overview. You're welcome then to augment that in your classrooms or programs to make that, add things for students or explain further. But we've tried to keep this relatively straightforward so that, it's an introduction and it's available for them. Then they move into the do phase, and I'm going to go through this, where they have an opportunity to complete activities. And ultimately, there's a document piece where they send their work off to their teacher, you, for feedback. At the top of the Innovator's Guide, there's also a section where we introduce the global goals. So it has all 17 global goals, what they represent, and then some links about what are the case students wanted to investigate further. And then finally, in the Innovator's Guide, this is an important section for both you and your students. There's a resources tab. The resources have some general resources on social good innovation, design thinking, tips for teams. It also has, for teachers in particular, the teacher's guide. So this is available. It also kind of walks you through a number of the things we're talking about today. So in case you forget, this is also available. This will also go out in the email that we're sending to you later today. So with that, I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And again, in this case, I am a student in a class. I am going to go ahead and create my first project. So in this case, I'll just, as a student, I'll pick a goal that feels relevant to me. Now I'm creating a project on behalf of my team. I pick a global goal. I give my team a name. So I'm going to say that we are the water bringers. And you can actually use emojis, and I can add other team members. Now, this construct is important. We have built this, as Alina said, to encourage autonomy in the students being able to do this. They're able to create a team with other students in that same class. So in this case, I know that Lisa's in my class. I'm going to click her. She's on my team. She's going to join me. My project is going to be, and it defaults to a project name. You don't have to choose, you don't have to customize this, but you can. And I'm going to say we're going to create a filtering water bottle. And you'll see this theme come throughout some of the videos. So, and then the description would be something that students can put in more detail in their project. At this early stage, they just need to do something to get started. They can come back and edit this at any point, including changing the goal, adding more team members, removing people, etc. So I will get started by creating a project. This project is now created, and it takes me right into the project and shows me these 3 design thinking phases leading up into the pitch. And so today, we're going to talk a little bit more about the understand phase. So you click on it, and again, each one of the phases has this explore, do, doc loop that we talked about. So the explore has some learning content, another video that introduces the understand phase, talks about what it means for understanding, and again, our version of understanding is just, the traditional word is empathize, but it's the same concept. And some brief learning content, a couple videos to kind of introduce them to the idea of what it means to understand and the types of work they might be doing. So in this early stage, they're just trying to have a problem that they identify and then start to frame it and create interview scripts for how it impacts people. So this educational content tries to walk them through what it looks like to do that and why it matters. So there's not a ton of content here, but it is available here for you and for student teams. And then anyone on the student team, this is important, any one of the team members can do all of these things. So they can see the content, and then they can also go into the do section, which is where we introduce the activities. Each of the phases has a different number of activities, and we have a recommendation for how many activities the student teams should complete. In this case, for the understand, we are suggesting 3 to 5. You are welcome to augment that or adjust that yourself and say, I want you to do all 5. I want you to do, I guess there are 8 of them in total. I want you to do all 8 or just a couple. That's completely up to you. And Valerie, there's no maximum number of students on a team, although I think our recommendation was somewhere between 2 and 6 students, but the software intentionally is not trying to put constraints in a lot of places. So the activities, I'll give you an example here. It walks them through, okay, because most of the learning, the explore section is just sort of consumption of some material, but the real meat of how they learn design thinking in the process of taking their identified problem and moving it into a solution is by completing the activities. So they can look through the details. In this case, there's a video that they can watch on the research process, and it walks them through what they should do. So start a research portfolio in Google Docs. So I'm going to click this. This is a template that students can create a copy of. And I'll just say, understand, and water bringers. We rely on Google Docs for a couple reasons. One, it becomes the mechanism by which students can work on the activities themselves. It also becomes the place where they can link their evidence or the documentation to send to you for feedback. Google Docs is, of course, not limited to just Google documents themselves. Students could create a video or put in images or whatever. Any kind of thing that can go into Google will work. But in some cases, for the activities in particular, we've created some templates that students can then add each other to, so the team can work on it together, and they can start filling out their documentation and go from there. So I'm going to, close this if I can get to it. All right, I can't get to it because the WebEx thing is in the way. Okay, so I'll go back to here again. Explore, do, doc, a number of activities that are available with templates throughout the do phase. When they're finally ready, and again, students can do this, student teams can link their files at any point, and then when they're ready to send the collection of files to you for feedback, then they do so here. So in this case, I'll add the new document. I have to give permission because it's the first time I've done this. I will say that we only can look and access files that students actually link into Packful, so we don't do anything else. And the only purpose of this is just so that we can see the evidence that we can see the files that they're linking into the app and sending you for feedback. Sasha, you're totally fine. If you were previously looking at the emails I had sent to get people set up with code 5555, that no longer works. After today's meeting, I will be sending everybody an individualized email that will have your class's code, and it'll be set up with the class name that you selected when you filled out the form. All right, so, and students are welcome to link multiple documents. So as they complete many activities, they may have others that they, I'm just picking one randomly. They may have multiple that they do. They can work on these throughout when they're then ready, and it doesn't have to be now. They can send the information to the teacher for feedback. So this can happen, and you can control this in your class. You can tell students, I want you to finish the whole phase, send me the whole package. I want to see it along the way. It doesn't matter. The feedback loops are supported in the platform. So send to the teacher. You can see down here that it was sent to the teacher for feedback. And now I'm going to switch over to my teacher view. And I'm going to log in the case I don't have to authenticate because I've already done that. I'm going to log in, and I see, as a teacher, I log in. I've got something very similar. I always see my class code at the top so that you can distribute that to students if they're in your class and you forget what it is, or you lost your email. It'll always be here once you've logged into Packful. Please don't use 5998 because you'll have your own. And you have two tabs. Class projects is the list of all projects for all students in your class. And ready for review are any phases or work that has been sent to you for feedback. So you will automatically be taken to the ready for review when a student team has sent this. You can see the progress. This is the little the 3 phases of design thinking, and then the pitch. And these little icons change to give you an indication of their progress that they're made. So as a teacher, you can pull these up. You can see these documents. You're welcome to do things in Google Docs to say, you know, I don't think this is right. But then ultimately you go back into the application and you can say, okay, this phase is either completely approved, your team has done a great job, I think what you've done is wonderful, you should move on, or return to the team. And you can give comments to say, hey, great start, but keep going. And that's it. You'll have no other team submissions to review. As a teacher, at any point, you can always look in the class projects and see all of your all the projects that have been created in your class and where they are in the process. This is the high-level card. As the teacher of your class, you can click on these cards and then see the details. So you can see that this phase was returned to the student team, and then they have not proceeded with any of the other phases. As a student team, they will, when they go back to their, when the student team goes back, they will actually have a call to action once you've sent things back to them. So they'll know that you've sent it back because they'll have this little red dot that tells them that there's been feedback from their teacher. So they can click on the project, they can click on the understand phase, they can click on document, and then they can see, oh, this is what's happened. We submitted it at this time, the teacher returned it, and this is the comment that they made. And then the last piece I want to show, Alina spoke about, is the showcase. The showcase shows all the projects that are in Packful, that everyone has worked on in Packful. So you're actually seeing some projects here that are real projects that have, because we had some closed beta testers helping us this past fall, thanks again, and they've made progress. And so there are a few projects in here that are actually already underway for those teams. You can't click on these because it's part of the showcase, and they include work from other students and other classes. But you can filter on any of the global goals and see all of the other projects that are underway. So for example, now you're going to see that new self-filtering water bottle. It's a lot of information quickly. And we are so pleased to answer any questions and take your, help you along the way. We don't want you to be on this journey alone. As Lena said, the ongoing webinars that we're providing are intended to help you progress through through each of the phases leading up into the May 1st pitch. If you need support along the way, you've got the social media for sort of general sharing, but we also have, you can send us email at support@packville.org or any one of our email addresses. Many of you already have mine. It's all easily done. I would encourage, you can see this at the bottom for your students. Prefer you not give them my email, but ask them to send to support@packville.com, or you or they can click on the contact us link at the bottom of every page in the app. It's always down there. This is also the place that you can say, hey, I think that piece of content is is okay, but it would be better if blah, or that video isn't great, why don't you think about this one, or any of the other things that you think would be helpful to share with us about giving us feedback throughout the process. And the last thing is we have a Facebook group, and I've had a couple people ask, you most certainly do not have to join the Facebook group if you're not on Facebook. You and or your students are actually welcome. It's a public group. You're welcome in there. It's a community place for any of us to sort of chat and share ideas or give feedback or do that kind of thing. So it's there for you at any point.
You have a question on there?
We do have a question. Is this the first year for the challenge? Yes, it is. This is the first year for the challenge. This is also as I said before, this is also the first time. Yeah, it's the first year for the challenge. We're trying to get feedback on the platform and the content and curriculum, but in a way of also helping students in particular learn how to become social good innovators and develop an innovator's mindset. So you'll see those themes throughout the content and throughout the curriculum. Do we have any samples of innovations to look at? You can look at any of the information currently in the showcase once you log in, and you can see those things. But at the moment, there's not a lot of detail there. We're actually talking about what that might look like to be able to put final pitch videos in the showcase and build that out a little further so that you can see actually some of the work that's happening. But at the moment, you can't see the details unless you're in the actual class. Is Packville exclusive to people in the challenge? Actually, no, because we have some people who are using Packville in their classrooms or in their programs already that are not in the challenge. So you may see, like I said, you'll see some of their work already in the showcase. And other people in your PLC could use it. We'd love to have them join the challenge, although now that it gets underway, we're getting limited. We intended to limit the number of educators. We still have a few slots left. But we can certainly make the platform and tool available to others, and there will be other people who continue to use it. So if you have a specific need, Colleen, you want to reach out and chat with me, I'm happy to do that and get you set up. Stephen, I would invite anyone who would like to come see what we have done so far to come and visit us on most Friday mornings. That's easier said than done if you're in the San Diego area, where I just happen to know that Stephen and his team are. They've done some amazing work already with their scholars in their program. If you want to connect with him, that would be awesome. He's in our Facebook community as well. So there's lots of ways to connect with each other and see the work along the way. That's a great offer. Is this an opportunity for kids of different areas to connect? That's the plan longer term. At the moment, though, the platform is intentionally isolating students so that they can only see and work with other students in their own class, right, for regulatory reasons and that sort of thing. But we have already talked about what would it look like and how could it work where students could create a project and say, I would love to get other people from other schools or around the world to help us. Doesn't do that now, but that's something that we have already talked about making happen in the future. Can students consult experts? You mean, can they cheat? Of course. I don't think there's any, yeah, that's really up to you. That would be amazing. I think that really can help in a lot of cases for students who have a particular project or a solution that they're working on, to consult industry experts and help them build it out. That would be amazing. So our objective here is to have the student teams drive the work, of course. But in the end, if they can get help from other people or help build something out, I think that's amazing. I may have missed one here.
They're asking if, I think Stephen can hold Skype. Everybody wants a Skype call with you, Stephen. How do you feel about that?
By the way, you guys can unmute yourself if you have a question you want to ask the group. We only, this is collaborative and it's open to everyone. So. I said that I have students. Can I download the info for the 12-year-olds? You can certainly, if you have access to the platform, Miles, you're welcome to go in and show any of the content. The Innovator's Guide is actually available to anyone, even whether they're in the platform or not. So a lot of the content is available. You're most welcome to share that with students. We just can't have students under 13 in the platform for regulatory reasons.
But actually, that's a great solution. I love that because it has been a big challenge for us with middle school students versus COPPA, which cuts kids off at 13. So kids can be on teams, they can participate in the work. We just can't have them in the software itself if they're under 13.
Nandita, when we get to the pitch phase, we actually, in the app or in the content curriculum, we actually do put some limits on there. I believe it's 5 minutes. So that is intentional. So there are some limits on how long some of the things can be. And when we get to the final pitch phase, we'll certainly talk about elements that might make sense. These actually, all of this content already in the app itself, so you're welcome to explore and go through it. And again, you can make suggestions to student teams as to what you think would work better or not for them.
Yeah, normally you wouldn't include all your activities in the pitch. It's a storytelling phase, but that's totally up to the kids, and there is direction for them and you on how to build and video the pitch.
Okay. Well, this went a little faster than I thought, which is great for you and give you some time back. As I said before, I'll be sending you all an individualized email that have your class code that you can log in. Some of you have already logged in and used your class code. If you have never logged into Packful, unfortunately, you'll still have a two-step process. You will need to log in once with the class code I provide you, and then send me a note. You can just reply to the email and say, I'm ready to be upgraded to a teacher. For those of you who already logged in prior to today, following the 5555 code instructions, your accounts have already been upgraded to a teacher. You can log in. Actually, you can log in now. You'll be able to see your class code directly on your dashboard. I'll also be sending you an email to remind you of those numbers. For those of you who have not logged in, you'll need to wait for that email so that you get your class code. And anytime throughout the process, if you have questions for the content or support or ideas or suggestions, we are all here. And hopefully you're all here for each other as well. This is a group collaborative effort. We're trying to change the world, and with your help, we're going to get there.
Yeah, so if any technical issues come up, Monty's always the guy. Monty will figure everything out related to tech issues and help you, and he's an amazing person to work with. Do you mind bringing back up the timeline slide? I just wanted to refresh when we're all have the opportunity to meet again, unless you're on social media. The Ideate webinar on February 4th. Stephen, there's your Skype address for people that want to Skype with Stephen.
And Stephen, we can help, you can help get the word out too if you wanted to drop that into the Facebook channel and or into Twitter or whatever. Obviously everyone here can see it. So if you want to connect with each other, that would be great.
Yeah, I think the Facebook community, we're really hoping that if you're on Facebook that you'll leverage that for sharing, communicating, asking questions, problems. Love seeing work in progress. Really love seeing the work in progress.
And Sasha, I may have to look into yours specifically after. I'm not sure what the issue is, but I will confirm, and you'll get an email from me, like I said, give you instructions. If you follow those and still have problems, let me know. Oh, and Nandita, throughout the curricular content, we actually specifically say things along the lines of, we want student teams to find a local or global problem that feels relevant to them, something that they can identify with and then build toward a solution. So it's open-ended in that regard. Some student teams may want to do something that is really local and home. Others may want to pick something larger. You may wish to guide them into a direction. It's completely up to you. Okay. Well, for now, we'll sign off. You'll have our contact information, and we'll see you again on February 4th, hopefully. If anything comes up between now and then, please let us know, and we're happy to help you out.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
Nice meeting all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.